How do you feel about paying on the first date?
About what?
Paying on the first date. How do you feel about paying on the first date? How do you feel about paying on the first date?
About what?
Paying on the first. How do you feel about paying on the first date? How do you feel about paying on the first date?
About what?
Paying on the first date. How do you feel about paying on the first date?
About what?
Paying on the first date.
Paying,
On the first date.
it depends on the situation. I mean, I don't mind. I've done it. Before, but I don't think if a man tell me like you're paying on the first date, I'm probably just won't go.
Is that something that you?
I think if a woman likes you, how do you feel about paying on the first date?
About what?
Paying on the first date.
Paying,
On the first date.
it depends on the situation. I mean, I don't mind. I've done it before, but I don't think if a man tell me like you're paying on the first date, I'm probably just won't go.
Is that something that you?
I think if a woman likes you, she wouldn't mind paying.
Exactly.
She said you've done it before.
I know, but it was more, she was so hesitant on the answer as far as like, if a man says
Yeah,
you're
'cause-
paying, you wouldn't mind if a man that you like asks you to pay, or you wouldn't mind it. But that wasn't the answer I was looking for.
Okay.
Okay.
How do you feel about paying on the first date?
About what?
Paying on the first date.
Paying,
On the first date.
it depends on the situation. I mean, I don't mind. I've done it before, but I don't think if a man tell me like you're paying on the first date, I'm probably just won't go.
Is that something that you
I think if a woman likes you, she wouldn't mind paying.
Exactly.
you said you've done it before?
I know, but it was more, she was so hesitant on the answer as far as like, if a man says you're
'cause-
paying, you wouldn't mind if a man that you like asks. You to pay, or you wouldn't mind it. But that wasn't the answer I was looking for.
Okay.
Okay.
This generation of men want submissive provider wives. Like they say they want a traditional submissive woman, but they also expect her to split the mortgage. As a divorce lawyer, I've seen the math on this and it never adds up. We're watching men ask for the emotional labor of the 1950s and a financial partnership of 2025. They want a woman who is quiet, agreeable, soft-spoken, but also one that works full-time, manages the home, raises the children, and somehow still makes them feel like a king when he enters a room. That is not a partnership, that's a contradiction. Because what they're really wanting is someone who makes money but doesn't make any noise, who only speaks when spoken to, who never nags but always nurtures. And if she dares set a boundary or voice a need, suddenly she's too much. This version of modern masculinity is confused. It wants control without responsibility. It wants submission without support. It wants her to carry the weight emotionally, financially, domestically, but not ask where he's been or why his phone is always on do not disturb. This is not about shaming men. It's about calling out the disconnect. Because real partnership isn't about domination or submission. It's about mutual effort, mutual respect, and mutual growth. You don't get to cherry pick the parts of tradition that benefit you and ignore the parts that require you to show show up. So if a man wants to lead, he better know how to carry, not just the bills, but the emotional load, the hard conversations, and the 2 a.m. teething baby. Otherwise, he's not asking for a wife, he's asking for an employee. And if you ask me, no high value woman is clocking into that job.
How you too pride-filled to pick up a mop or a broom or fold some drawers, but you not too pride-filled to hand your lady half a bill and say you need her to help you. Make that make sense. You got pride in the wrong thing. I'm a man, I shouldn't have to mop. Well, she's a woman, she shouldn't have to pay a bill. But you pick and choose which things you want to have pride about. You calling her, hey babe, can you cover the cable this month? I'm gonna pay the car insurance. You humble then, right? You got all sorts of humility then. You like, well, we partners. Are you partners when it comes to paying the bills? You're traditional gender role, but you do pride for the wash a dish. And I said this before, ladies, if you love cooking for your man, cook for that. If you love cleaning for your man, make sure that house is spotless, my queen. Do your thing. But if you are doing all those things after your ass done worked 40 hours that week, that better have pride in the same things. And you want her to you good, and you want her to cook for you, and you want her to have your children, and you want her to rear them, raise them, get them to school, and you want her to be your confidant, your peace. So nigga, you need to and too. We always talk about entitled women. These women entitled, they expect half your income. Well, we don't talk about entitled niggas. You expect unconditional submission, but you don't do nothing submit worthy. You expect this woman to bring you peace in an otherwise chaotic life, and you don't do anything peace worthy. You want a woman to respect you, but all you do is disrespect worthy. You entitled. You think just because you've been born with balls that you entitled for a woman to follow your lead when you don't do leadership worthy. You You're entitled as well. You keep saying, these women feel like they're entitled to my money. What money? What money do you have? But yet, we don't never talk about you feeling entitled because you want a woman to submit to you. You want a woman to cook and clean and do all those things, but you're not doing things that require or influence somebody to feel like that it's a good idea to do those things for you. You shouldn't require a woman to submit to you when you ain't doing submit-worthy shit. So you
Wild and hilarious. These MAGA guys keep crying that they can't find women as if it's some kind of feminist plot. Like, bro, it's not that deep. You're just not someone women want to be around. And that's not some great mystery. It's actually pretty simple. It's not because you're conservative either. It's because you're insufferable. You've built your whole identity around being pissed off at everything around you. You think empathy is weakness. You think women owe you attention. And you confuse being loud with being a leader. That's not masculinity, dude. That is insecurity in a red hat. You walk around acting like love is something that you are entitled to just because you have a job and a pulse. Meanwhile, you guys treat women like they're second-class citizens, throw tantrums online, and call them females like you're narrating a wildlife documentary. You're not single because women are broken. You're single because you are. And the worst part, you guys are so unaware of your own self, you don't even realize it. You think women don't want you because they've been brainwashed by liberal media or some other BS. Nah, man, they just see it clearly now. They see that you've radicalized yourself into this bitter, emotionally stunted husk who thinks being mean makes you interesting. You scream about traditional values, but you live like a child. You want a submissive housewife, but you still live in your mom's basement surrounded by Funko Pops and empty Monster cans. You can't even protect your own sense of identity, and do you think you're ready to lead a household? You guys also post selfies in the gym with captions about being an alpha. But deep down, you're just another angry guy who peaked at 16 and you never recovered. You think